Marcus Reed adjusted his tie in the rear-view mirror of his jet-black Tesla. The spring morning sun cast a golden hue over the skyline of Bridgehaven, the once idyllic suburban town that had, over the years, become the kingdom of overzealous homeowners associations. Marcus had always known he would return here, not to relive old wounds, but to finally sew them shut, with precision. He stepped out into the crisp air and looked up at the five-story office complex known as Pinecrest Commons. It was modest by corporate standards, but a central cog in the machinery of Bridgehaven's power structure. On the third floor sat the headquarters of the Green Pines HOA, one of the most notoriously aggressive associations in the state. Its president, Karen Holbrook, had built her mini-empire from this very lobby. As he entered the lobby, Marcus took a moment to appreciate the polished marble floors, the overpriced abstract art, and the general air of exclusion that clung to the place like humidity. It hadn't changed in 20 years. The receptionist, a young woman with immaculate hair and disinterested eyes, glanced up from her phone. "Can I help you?" she asked flatly. "No, thank you," Marcus replied, scanning the directory. He already knew where he was going, but wanted to soak in the moment. Just then, the glass doors opened with a screech, and a whirlwind of self-importance swept in. Karen Holbrook, mid-50s, clad in a tailored pantsuit so stiff it could stand on its own, marched toward the reception desk like she was leading a parade. Her gaze landed on Marcus. She stopped short. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "Who are you?" Marcus turned slowly. "Good morning." "I didn't ask for pleasantries. I asked who you are and what you're doing loitering in this lobby." "I'm just here to take a look around," he said, offering a calm smile. "Interested in the property." Karen's eyes narrowed. "Oh, I see. One of those wannabe investors. Look, this building isn't for sale, and we don't tolerate people wandering around without appointments." "I'm not here to buy. Already did." Karen laughed, loud, barking, and completely void of amusement. "Oh, that's rich. Security." A tall, heavy-set guard ambled out from a side hallway, clearly familiar with Karen's frequent theatrics. "This man is trespassing. Please remove him." Marcus raised his eyebrows, but didn't resist. As the guard took him gently by the arm, Marcus looked back at Karen. "You'll be hearing from me soon." Karen scoffed. "I doubt it." Outside, Marcus stood in the sunshine, utterly calm. He tapped a few notes into his phone, then made a call. "Hey, Stephanie. Yeah, let the leasing office know I'll be needing the third floor keys delivered by Monday. Oh, and cancel the Green Pines HOA lease, effective immediately. Let the lawyers handle any pushback." He ended the call and smiled. It had begun. 10 minutes later, inside the HOA offices, Karen ranted to her assistant, Cynthia. "The nerve of some people. These freeloaders think they can just walk in and act like they belong." Cynthia shifted uncomfortably. "He didn't really seem like a freeloader." "Oh, don't be naive. I've been running this place for 15 years. I can spot a loser from a mile away. Did you see his clothes? Cheap suit. Probably got it off a clearance rack." Cynthia bit her tongue. Something about the man had seemed composed, important even. But she knew better than to argue. Karen smoothed her blazer, grabbed her tablet, and prepared for the board meeting that afternoon. Her kingdom awaited, and she had no time for nobodies. Little did she know, the real owner was about to take the throne. That night, Marcus stood on the rooftop of Pinecrest Commons. City lights twinkled below. He held a folder of documents, the purchase agreement, property deeds, corporate transfer filings, all with his name, or that of his holding company, Redbridge Ventures. He wasn't here for revenge. He was here for redemption, for the families harassed, fined, bullied, and driven out, for his parents, and for every decent resident who ever felt powerless against the petty tyranny of HOA Karen. Tomorrow, she'd find out exactly who she had tried to throw out of his own building. And it would be glorious. It was a Thursday when Marcus returned, this time dressed in an impeccable navy suit that cost more than Karen's monthly salary. But even with his refined look, he still carried that same calm, unfazed presence. He entered the building as if it were home, because now it was. The front desk receptionist stiffened when she saw him, but said nothing. Rumors had begun to circulate, something about the man from yesterday now owning the entire building. But no one knew for sure. Karen certainly didn't. Inside the HOA boardroom, the meeting was underway. Karen, seated at the head of the table, was mid-rant about a resident who dared to install solar panels without pre-approval. The other board members half listened, nodding mechanically. Suddenly, the door opened. Marcus stepped in, confident and silent. All eyes turned. Karen bristled. "You again. Security." Marcus held up a leather-bound folder. "Won't be necessary. I have some documents you'll want to see. I told you to leave this property." Marcus set the folder down in front of her. "This is my property. As of last week, Redbridge Ventures acquired Pinecrest Commons. That includes this floor. That includes your office. You're currently trespassing on my private property." The room fell silent. Karen opened the folder, hands trembling. Inside were the notarized deeds, signed contracts, and corporate registration forms. This is fake," she sputtered. "Not at all," said Marcus. "You'll also find a 90-day notice to vacate. Consider this your formal termination as a tenant. We'll be reclaiming this space for a community business incubator." The silence grew heavier. One of the board members, Ted, coughed awkwardly. "Is this legal?" Marcus looked directly at him. "It's not only legal, it's long overdue." Karen stood up abruptly. "You can't just walk in here and destroy everything we've built. I've served this community for 15 years. "You've ruled it, not served," Marcus replied. "You fined my mother for planting a tree. You forced my father to tear down his porch swing. You drove them and countless others out of their homes. I made a promise the day they left, that I would come back and put things right." Karen's face turned red. "You're delusional." "No, I'm deliberate." He turned to the rest of the board. "You all have 90 days. If you wish to continue serving this community under ethical guidelines and proper transparency, we can talk. But Karen's time here is done." Karen's voice cracked. "You can't fire me. I'm elected." Marcus smiled. "And your office is leased. And I'm the landlord." With that, he turned and walked out, leaving behind stunned silence. The next morning, the headlines read, "HOA Powerhouse faces eviction from building purchased by former resident." Bridgehaven's residents were already whispering. The man Karen threw out of the lobby had returned as the owner, and her empire had just started to crumble. For the first time in 15 years, her power felt fragile. She sat at her kitchen table, furiously clicking through HOA legal documents, trying to find a loophole, an escape hatch. Something, anything, that would allow her to reclaim control. Her condo, tastefully remodeled using what she called executive allowances, was eerily quiet. Cynthia, her assistant, hadn't returned her calls. The other board members, silent. Even Ted, especially Ted. She took a long sip of wine and clicked send on an email marked urgent to the HOA's legal firm. "We need to stop this," she muttered. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus sat in a conference room, surrounded by attorneys, auditors, and a representative from the Bridgehaven Chronicle. A stack of folders lay in front of them, each one marked with years of questionable transactions. Embezzlement, unethical kickbacks, inflated maintenance contracts, said a lawyer, flipping through the documents, all tied back to Green Pines HOA. And at the center of it all, the journalist added, Karen Holbrook. Marcus nodded. Let's shine some light. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of unraveling. Whistleblowers came forward, former maintenance workers, ex-employees, even current HOA volunteers, all with the same story. Karen had been running the HOA like a personal monarchy. She fined residents for nonsensical violations and pocketed portions of those fines. She contracted her cousin's landscaping company at double market rates. She had greenlit renovations to her personal condo, then billed them as security infrastructure. Marcus ensured every document, every email, every whistleblower's statement was backed up, notarized, and verified. Then he did the one thing Karen feared most. He went public. The Chronicle ran a 3-page expose. HOA tyranny, how a president turned a community into a kingdom. The article was explosive. Photos of Karen's lavish bathroom remodel, invoices for consulting fees to companies that didn't exist, an interview with a war veteran who was fined $500 for flying an American flag on Memorial Day. Social media erupted. Hashtag HOA Karen trended on local Twitter. Residents formed online groups. Some even started picketing the HOA office, until Marcus politely reminded them it was now. Marcus responded with receipts. Literally. He released public access to a database filled with HOA transaction records and annotated spreadsheets. He even launched a community forum for residents to share their stories. Karen's support crumbled, allowing you. One Tuesday afternoon, she stormed into the Pinecrest Commons lobby, breath ragged, heels clicking like gunshots. I demand to speak to Marcus Reed, she shouted. The new front desk receptionist, an older woman named Dora, formerly evicted by the HOA over a bird bath, smiled politely. Mr. Reed's in a meeting. You can have a seat, or I can call security. Karen screamed in frustration, knocking over a promotional stand. That's when 2 detectives walked through the doors. Karen Holbrook, one of them asked. Her head whipped toward them. What? Who are you? Bridgehaven PD. We have a warrant for your arrest on multiple charges. Fraud, embezzlement, intimidation, and obstruction of a civil investigation. A gasp rippled through the lobby. You're making a mistake. I'm the victim here, she shrieked, but they were already cuffing her. As they let her out, cameras flashed. Someone recorded the whole scene. Karen Holbrook, former HOA queen, screaming at the top of her lungs. This is my neighborhood. The internet had its next viral moment. And Marcus, he just kept building. Commandant. That night, he stood once again on the rooftop of Pinecrest Commons. Below, lights flickered in the newly vacated third-floor office. Construction would begin soon. Not for another soulless boardroom, but for a community workspace. Free for residents, entrepreneurs, and students. Marcus looked to the stars and whispered, one more chapter to go. because justice had been served. But legacy, that was just getting started. Karen Holbrook's mugshot was plastered across every local news channel within hours. The community that had once cowered under her rule now watched, vindicated, as the mighty fell. She faced a staggering list of charges: embezzlement, falsification of financial records, harassment, illegal eviction threats, and obstruction of justice. Her trial date was set and her bail denied. The judge had called her a flight risk with a long-standing pattern of abuse. It was poetic justice. But Marcus wasn't done yet. With Karen out of the picture, he moved swiftly. The HOA office was cleared out, its gray filing cabinets and dreary decor replaced with vibrant art, co-working desks, green plants, and a sense of airiness that hadn't existed in that space for decades. The new space opened under a fresh name, the Bridgehaven Commons, a free community hub offering financial literacy workshops, small business grants, and resources for students. Local businesses donated equipment, retired teachers volunteered their time, and residents who had once feared Karen's wrath now poured through the doors with smiles and coffee cups in hand. Ted, the former board member, approached Marcus one afternoon with his hat literally in hand. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I knew some of what she was doing, I just didn't want to get involved." Marcus nodded. "You're getting involved now?" "I'd like to," Ted replied. "For real this time." Marcus extended his hand. "Though we start fresh." At the next town meeting, Marcus took the stage, not as a landlord or a tycoon, but as a neighbor. The town hall was packed. Even the mayor showed up. He shared stories, not of revenge, but of rebuilding, of what it meant to truly serve a community. He introduced the new Bridgehaven Neighborhood Council, a transparent, volunteer-run group elected by residents. No more HOA tyranny, just neighbors helping neighbors. In a quiet corner of the neighborhood, Marcus visited a modest house with white shutters and a newly replanted garden. It had been his family's home once. Now it had been restored, its previous owners evicted years ago, the property seized by the HOA for violation of aesthetic uniformity. Marcus purchased it from the bank under his personal name and returned the deed to his parents, who had long since moved out of state. "Come visit any time," he told them. "Your tree's still here." His father's eyes misted as he saw the sapling they'd once planted, now tall and casting long, leafy shadows across the porch. The final scene was simple. Marcus sat in the new building lobby, sipping coffee. Children ran past, laughing. A young woman pitched her small business idea in the incubator suite. An elderly couple shared a bench by the window. On the wall hung a bronze plaque, "In honor of the families who endured and reclaimed their home. Community belongs to the people, not those who abuse power." Marcus leaned back and smiled. Karen had built walls to separate. He had opened doors. And Bridgehaven? It had finally become the home it was meant to be.